Hello, and welcome to this grounding, side-stretching, beginner Hatha Flow. A mouthful, I know, but just bear with me. Before we begin, I'm going to ask you to grab some props. Grab a block. If you don't have a block, that's okay. But we're going to use some substitutions because props are our friends. I suggest using a water bottle. And also maybe take a drink, because hydration. And the last thing you need is a blanket or a towel or anything really to pad your knees on the ground. Shout out to my grandma for this quilt. Begin by placing your folded up blanket in the middle of your mat, and then bring both knees onto the blanket on either edge, so wide on your mat. Sit your sits bones back onto your heels and slowly walk your palms out away from you, bringing your forehead to the mat. We're going to start with a little breathing exercise to help ground us before beginning our practice. So on your next inhale, 3, 2, 1, hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Inhale, 3, 2, 1, hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Inhale, 3, 2, 1, hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue this pattern on your own. On your next inhale, press into your palms to straighten out your arms and lift your forehead off the mat. Begin to walk your right hand over to the right side of your mat with the left hand to follow, maybe placing the left hand on top of the right, and then fold down, letting your head rest on the mat in between both of your arms. Really feel the stretch in your left side body. Slowly begin to press into your palms, lifting the forehead back up off the mat. Walk both hands back to the center of your mat and release your forehead back down to the mat for child's pose to recenter. On your next inhale, press into your palms, lifting your forehead off the mat, and walk your left hand off to the left side of your mat with the right hand to follow, maybe placing your right hand on top of your left and letting your forehead fall to the mat in between your arms. Slowly begin to press into your palms, lifting your forehead up off the mat, and walk your hands back to center, and then walk your hands back so that they are underneath your shoulders, lifting your hips up off of your ankles, and aligning your hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, lift your chest up, tailbone up. Exhale, round through your spine, tucking your chin to chest and tucking your tailbone down towards your knees. Inhale to lift your heart forward. Exhale to round through the spine, relaxing the neck. Inhale, draw your collarbones and shoulders back, reach your sternum and heart forward. And then exhale, round through the spine, pulling the abs towards the ceiling and pressing the palms and the tops of the feet down. Inhale, round up to cow. Exhale, round through to cat. And on your next inhale, come to a neutral spine. Keeping the hips over the knees, walk the hands out away from you, bringing your forehead back down to the mat. Puppy pose. Press your hands into the mat as you pull your hips back in space, lengthening the spine. Really breathe into your back, feeling it lengthening in both directions. On your next inhale, slowly begin to press yourself back up, walking your hands back underneath your shoulders. Then inhale, reach your right fingertips up towards the sky, and then exhale, thread that hand through underneath your left hand, bringing your right ear to the mat and extending your left hand out to the left corner of your mat. If this is not your first time through this flow with me, I encourage you to try walking your left toes to the back of the mat. This requires a little bit more ab strength to hold yourself balanced. If you need even more of a challenge, I encourage you to try lifting those left toes up off of the mat, really squeezing into that left glute and your abs to keep yourself steady. However, this is a beginner flow, so I encourage you to start with both knees on the mat and then keep practicing this flow in order to work up towards these more advanced variations. If you had the left toes lifted, bring them back down to the mat and walk your left knee back to meet the right. Bring your left hand in front of your face and press yourself back up, lifting your right fingertips back up towards the sky to unwind, and bring your right palm back to the mat in all fours. Maybe twist out through your shoulders, roll through a few cats and cows. Just notice the difference between the two shoulders after this pose. On your next inhale, come back to a neutral spine, and then lift your left fingertips up towards the sky, and then reach them down and thread them through underneath the right hand, bringing the left ear to the mat and walking the right palm up towards the right corner of your mat. If this isn't your first time in this rodeo, I encourage you to walk your right toes to the back of the mat, really firming through the abs to keep yourself balanced. And if you need even more, lift that foot up in the air, really flexing in that glute and your abs to hold yourself steady. If you had the right toes lifted, begin to bring them back down to the mat and bring your right knee back to meet the left. Walk your right hand in front of your face to press yourself up, lifting your left fingertips back towards the sky, and then bringing your left fingertips back to the mat to meet the right. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Take a few cat-cows. Notice how your body feels different than from before we did these first few postures. Then on your next inhale, come to a neutral spine, keeping the hips over the knees. Walk your hands out in front of you, bringing your forehead to the mat for puppy pose. If you want just a little bit deeper stretch in your armpits, you can start rocking your forehead from side to side on the mat. Notice how this slight movement changes the feelings in this posture. On your next inhale, press your forehead off the mat to walk your elbows in and align them with your shoulders. Then rock forward onto your forearms and your belly. If you have the blanket underneath you, you can go ahead and remove that. But then come back onto your forearms with your elbows underneath your shoulders, palms pressed down into the mat, hips pressed down into the mat. Draw your shoulders down and back. Lift your sternum forward and really use the strength of your upper back, not your lower back, to pull yourself up. Sphinx pose. Slowly lower yourself back down to the mat and bring your left hand out to your side and make a 90-degree angle with your elbow. Then bring your left ear to the mat, bring your right hand underneath your right shoulder, and as you push yourself up onto your left side, draw your right knee up towards your right elbow. You should feel this stretch in your left shoulder pretty deeply, so don't go too far. However, if this is not your first time through this flow and you need a little bit more sensation, I encourage you to bring your right foot on top of the left foot so that they're parallel to each other and you're still stretching and twisting through the left side. Keeping your left arm where it is, slowly begin to roll back onto your belly. With both hands off of the mat, walk your fingertips back so that they're in line with your shoulders, and then using your fingertips and the strength of your upper back, begin to pull your chest up off of the mat and shine your sternum forward. Then slowly lower yourself back down, bringing your right arm out at your side to make a 90-degree angle, bringing your right ear to the mat, left hand underneath your left shoulder, and drag your left knee up on the mat toward your left elbow. If you've done this flow before, try placing your left foot on top of your right foot. Keeping your right arm as it is, slowly begin to lower your left side body back down towards the mat and bring both of your palms underneath your shoulders, and then using the strength of your upper back, lift your chest up off of the mat and hover your hands off of the mat. Cobra. Then slowly lower yourself back down, press into your palms and back into an all fours position. Then sit your hips back onto your ankles, maybe placing the blanket back underneath your knees. On your next inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky and then exhale your left hand to your right knee, bringing the right hand back behind you. Make sure that you keep the right arm straight Really engage in their back shoulder muscles to keep it elevated. Bring both hands to the right side of your mat. Twist your knees so that your hips are square towards that side. Extend your left leg out with your left toes pointed towards the right side of your mat. Hands on your hips, and then inhale, reach your hands to the sky, and exhale over towards that left leg. On your next inhale, cartwheel your hands back up to center and then over towards the right for a counter stretch. Then slowly lower both hands back to the right side of your mat. Bring your left knee back in to meet the right and twist your knees back towards the front of the mat. On your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead and then exhale to twist your right hand to your left knee, left arm stretched out behind you. Really engage your shoulder muscle to keep it up. Slowly begin to lower your hands to the left side of your mat, twisting your hips so that they're squared to the left side of your mat, and then extend your right leg out towards your side, right toes pointed forward. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and then slowly twist over to that right side. On your next inhale, cartwheel your arms up overhead and over towards the left for a counter stretch. And then inhale, come back with your knees together towards the front of the mat in all fours. Next, bring your right foot up in between your hands for low lunge. Make sure that your right knee is over your right ankle, and then on your inhale, rise up with your hands to your hips, sink a little deeper, and then inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Hold. Exhale your fingertips back to the mat, and then rock back onto your right heel for a hamstring stretch. Keep both hips squared to the front of the mat and pull your toes towards your face. Begin to walk your fingertips back to the front of the mat and grab your block or your water bottle, whatever you're using, and place it on your right side. Inhale your left arm up overhead and then sweep it over towards the right, pressing down into the block or your water bottle. You should really feel a nice stretch through your psoas and your side muscles here. On your next inhale, bring your left arm back up to center with the right to meet it, and then bring both of your fingertips down to the mat and rock back onto your right heel once more for that hamstring stretch. Walk your fingertips back to the front of the mat, move your block out of the way, and bring your right knee back to meet the left. Next, we're going to bring the left foot up in between the hands, making sure that the knee is aligned over the ankle, And then slowly raising up, bringing hands to hips, sink a little deeper. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead for low lunge, second side. On your next exhale, lower your fingertips back to the ground and rock back onto your left heel for half splits. Keep both hips aligned and squared to the front of your mat, and pull your toes back towards your face. On your next inhale, walk your fingertips back to the front of your mat. Grab your block or your water bottle in your left hand, and then inhale, reach your right fingertips up to the sky and then over towards the left. Really feeling that side stretch all the way down through your psoas muscle. Inhale brings the right arm back up to center, and then bring both hands down to the mat. Rock back onto your left heel one more time, half splits. Slowly walk your fingertips back to frame the foot at the front of the mat, and then walk your left knee back to meet the right in all fours. Maybe take a drink of water, and then align your wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, and then walk your knees back about 3 inches, tuck the toes, and send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now you can pedal out the feet here, alternate bending each knee, or you can just keep both knees bent in a static down dog. Either way, make sure that all of your fingers are pressing down firmly into the mat. Align biceps with your ears, pull your chest towards your thighs, and pull your hip bones up and back in space. On your next inhale, look forward and slowly start to walk your feet towards the front of your mat. Place your feet at hip width distance apart. Bend the knees generously and grab onto opposite elbows, maybe swaying side to side. Really let the tension in your neck go. On your next inhale, halfway lift, pressing the palms into your shins with a flat back. Exhale to fold. And then inhale slowly, one vertebrae by vertebrae, roll up. Shrug your shoulders down and back. Tadasana, mountain pose. Walk your feet together so that the big toes come to touch. Bring your hands to heart center and sink your hips back into a chair. For chair pose, make sure that you can still see your big toes over your knees. Prioritize length in the spine over depth in your seat. One more deep inhale, and then exhale to fold forward. Walk your feet back out to hip width distance apart. Bend the knees generously and grab onto opposite elbows. On your next inhale, bring your palms to your shins, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, and then inhale, Slowly, one vertebrae by vertebrae, roll up to standing. Shrug your shoulders down and back, Tadasana. Now walk your big toes into touch again. Bring your hands to heart center. And then sit back into your seat, just like before. Make sure that you can still see your big toes over your knees. Slowly begin to twist your upper body towards the right, bringing your right hand behind you and your left hand forward, maintaining the chair pose with your hips squared to the front of your mat. Exhale to bring hands back to heart center, and then inhale to twist open to the left side, bringing the right hand in front of you and the left hand behind you, keeping your seat back in a chair. Bring your hands back to heart center and exhale to fold, keeping your big toes touching. Sit your sits bones back down onto your heels, keeping your knees bent and curling your toes under to come into a toe stand. Now, if this is really intense, you can keep your knees on the ground, or you can bring your knees up off of the ground and keep your fingertips on the ground, or bring your hands to your thighs, or if you have enough balance and strength in your toes, you can squeeze your inner thighs together and bring hands to heart center. Maybe even close down your eyes. Can you find your center of balance within? And when your toes give out, you can sit back onto your booty, remove the flesh from your sits bones. Now for this next pose, you can keep your feet flat on the floor, hands behind your thighs, lengthening up through the spine. Or if you want a little bit of a challenge, you can lift your feet up off of the ground. You can still hold on to your thighs or release your hands out long to challenge your ab strength. Your abs are one of the most used body parts in yoga, and yet there's hardly any poses that work them. So that's why we're holding this boat pose. Hold it and release. Good job. Go ahead and remove the blanket from underneath your sits bones and bring your soles of feet to touch. Maybe giving yourself a little foot massage or just holding onto your ankles so that you can roll your shoulders down and back and lengthen up through the crown of your head. If you've completed this practice with me before, you have the option to fold down over your butterfly position, bringing your elbows onto your shins. If you had folded over, begin to slowly raise back up, and then keeping your right foot where it is, extend your left leg out long. Inhale to reach your arms up overhead. Exhale your right fingertips down to the mat. Fold over to the right, and then push yourself with your right arm over towards the left foot. Now you can either pretend to hold a big beach ball over here if you can't quite reach your foot, or if you've done this practice before and you have the mobility to reach your toes, go ahead and grab onto your big toe with your two peace fingers. Your next inhale brings your arms back up and over towards the right, counter stretch. And then bringing your right foot underneath your left thigh, cross your left thigh over so that your knees stack on top of each other. Now, if you can't even get here, just come into an easy seat. That is okay. But if you can get your knees stacked, either grab onto your toes for shoelace pose, or you can cross your left arm over your right, grabbing onto your shoulder blades and giving yourself a nice warm hug. If you're in an easy seat, you can easily give yourself a hug as well. And we're going to use this time to do a little bit of a grounding breathing exercise. So on your next inhale, inhale, 3, 2, 1, hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and release your arms, untangle your legs, and bring them back into that butterfly position with the soles touching. Hold on to your ankles and roll your shoulders down and back. Now keeping your left foot where it is, extend your right leg out long. Bring the sole of the left foot to the right thigh. Inhale your arms up overhead, and then exhale your left fingertips over to the mat. Lean over to the left, and then push yourself off with that left hand over towards the right, either holding that big beach ball or grabbing onto the right toes with your 2 peace fingers. Your next inhale, bring your arms up overhead and then over towards the left for a counter stretch. And then we're going to cross the left ankle underneath the right thigh and stack the right knee on top of the left knee. So again, if you need to go into easy pose, easy seat, that is okay. But if you're in this shoelace pose, either grab onto your big toes, or inhale to reach your arms up and cross your right arm over your left. So opposite crossing as last time. Grab onto those shoulder blades and give yourself a nice big hug. Go ahead and dip your chin to do some more breathing exercises. So on your next inhale, 3, 2, 1, hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. On your next inhale, unwind your arms, unwind your legs, and then slowly, holding onto the backs of your thighs, roll down onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest, maybe rock from side to side. And then we're going to come into that shoelace pose. So cross your right knee over your left and either hold on to the backs of your thighs or onto those big toes, pulling your feet closer towards you. If you are holding onto the toes, go ahead and release them. Keep the right knee crossed over the left and extend your feet towards the ceiling. Bring your arms to a T and then drop your knees off to the left. You might need to shimmy your hips over to the right a little bit. And if you want, you can tuck your toes behind your left calf. Bring your attention back to your breath. How has it changed since we first came down to the floor? Is it more slow and relaxed? On your next inhale, slowly bring your knees back to center Untwist your legs and bring both knees into the chest, giving yourself another big hug. Now for the other side, cross your left knee over your right knee and either hold on to the back of your thigh and pull your knees towards you, or hold on to your big toes. Now remember that the body is asymmetrical, so just because you did one thing on one side does not mean you will be able to do that same thing on the other side. If you are holding on to your toes, go ahead and release them, keeping the left knee crossed over the right knee. Extend your feet up towards the ceiling, bring your arms to a T, and twist both knees off to the right, maybe having to shimmy your hips over to the left a little bit. And then if you want, you can tuck your right toes behind your left calf. Again, tune into your breath here. On your next inhale, slowly bring the knees back to center, untangle your legs, and bring both knees into the chest one more time. Big hug. Maybe rocking your knees from side to side, or using your knees as a paintbrush to draw circles above you. Take your circles in the opposite direction. Coming back to center, pull your knees apart towards your elbows, flexing your feet towards your face. This is a modified happy baby pose. So if you would rather take normal happy baby and reach your arms in between your legs to grab onto your feet and extend the feet up towards the ceiling, go ahead. But I don't think I demonstrated that here because this just felt so nice. Slowly release your legs, letting your feet go out long on your mat. Relax your arms at your sides. Get any last wiggles out of your feet. And relax into Shavasana. Really let today's practice sink in before rushing back into your day. Just take a minute to just lie here. Know where to be, know when to be. Just breathe. begin to bring energy back into your fingers and toes, wiggling and crinkling them, and then reach your arms up overhead, stretch out long, and then walk your arms off to the left to stretch your right side body. Maybe walk your feet off to the left. Maybe cross your right ankle over your left. Slowly walk your arms and your feet back to center, and then walk your arms over to the right, maybe walking both feet over to the right, and maybe crossing the left ankle over the right. Now staying arched off to the right, bend both of your knees and twist all the way over onto your right side, using your right arm as a pillow for fetal position. This is where one practice ends and another begins. Slowly use your left hand to press yourself back up into a comfortable seat, keeping the eyes closed and placing both palms face up in your lap. To close, I would like to end in 3 deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, make this the most air that you've taken in all day, and exhale. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me.